Hi, Scott Whitley here, hope you're doing well. This lesson is a special request for a gentleman called Colin Eccles. Thank you very much for this. And what he's asked for is, and I'll quote, a lesson on the importance of fretting hand finger choice when moving around the fretboard. Okay, yeah, we're recording. So what does he mean by that? Well, I've interpreted it like this, and the best way to explain it is if I show you bad fretting hand finger choices, alright? So a really sort of basic, obvious example would be playing something like a scale, a major scale, where you just use one finger, say, right? That would be bad finger choices in terms of there's a lot of squeaks, a lot of sliding around, it sounds clunky, it's not smooth. Use a lot of effort with the left hand, okay? If I use much better finger choices, it's a lot smoother, you can play it faster, it sounds better, you know, everything about it is better, it's using less energy, okay? So that's okay if you know, like in a kind of box area like that. But what about if we need to make moves up and down the neck? You know, if you're playing sort of runs that start here and end higher up the neck. Well, let's look at, say, playing a 2-octave major scale in G, for example, all right? Now, don't worry too much about taking these in and learning these just like that. We're going to look at more detail, look at these in more detail in a minute. But here we go. This one is a 2-octave major scale in G, badly. All right, I'm doing this bit, right? So I had to kind of jump up the string there for those last notes. So that's bad finger choices moving up to the octave there, okay? It was good to there, but then we kind of ran out of steam. Another bad choice that you might do. Okay, so there was only one jump, but it was a massive jump in the middle there. Okay, and you could hear it and it didn't sound smooth. So a better way would be to kind of work diagonally almost across the fingerboard, something like, let's see. So there were little jumps in the middle there, but nothing major, nothing massive, okay? And it, to my ears, that sounded and it felt a lot smoother to play, all right? So that's bad finger choices versus good finger choices. So let's look at it in more detail, okay? So, going back to the major scale thing, right? If you don't know the major scale, I'll just run it by you really quick, and then you might just want to pause the video and just learn it. But here we go. It's in G, it's the 3rd fret on the E string, 5th fret on the E string, 2nd fret on the A string, 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, 4th fret on the D string, and the 5th fret on the D string, okay? So just take a moment to learn that because we're going to work with it for a minute, okay? Now, what I did in that earlier example is I adopted, and a lot of you will have heard of this, a 1 finger per fret approach to playing it, right? Now, so that whole scale is contained within these 4 frets. Just check it out, right? Watch. So if just do 1. So there's nothing outside of those 4 frets, okay? And we've got 4 fingers there we can fret with. So what you do, you designate this finger to that fret. So any notes that are in that fret you play with that one. Any notes in this fret you play with that finger, and so on, okay? So just check it out. And that is a kind of, it's a massive deal. It's a really, really big part of being able to get around the fingerboard fast is that 1 finger per fret thing, okay? Because you'll find all kinds of lines and licks and runs and things that you come to learn in the future, and you'll be able to use, you know, that sort of 1 finger per fret method of playing them a lot more smoothly and faster if it's required than you would just using a couple of fingers, okay? So let's look at, I'm going to look at a minor scale now, okay, because minors, again, you can play like the natural minor using this 1 finger per fret kind of thing. but in G, if we play G minor, you'd start with your first finger because the scale uses these 4 frets. Okay, let me show you that scale again if you've never played the natural minor scale. This is in G, so it's 3rd fret on the E string, 5th fret on the E string, 6th fret on the E string, 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret on the A string, 6th fret on the A string, 3rd fret on the D string, 5th fret on the D string. Okay? So again, you can see I've adopted that 1 finger per fret way of playing the scale, and it works really well. So as a general rule, when I'm playing and I'm improvising and stuff like that, is if I'm playing major, I'll start with the middle finger on the root. If I'm playing minor, I'll start with the first finger on the root. And it's a very kind of general rule. It doesn't always work that way, of course, you know, but that's if we're working in that kind of 1 octave sort of box, that's what I would do. And that also works well for things like the major and minor pentatonics. Okay, so we're working minor at the minute, so let me show you that. The minor pentatonic is it's like a minor scale with a few notes missing. Okay, so I'll show you that. It's 3rd fret on the E string, 6th fret on the E string, 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret on the A string, 3rd fret on the D string, 5th fret on the D string. Okay. Alright, so that's the minor pentatonic, and again, using that 1 finger per fret thing, you can get around it really fast. Going back to major again, this is the major pentatonic. Okay, you can get around that really fast using the 1 finger per fret thing. So here we go. So it's 3rd fret on the E string, 5th fret on the E string, 2nd fret on the A string, 5th fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, and the 5th fret on the D string. Okay. So this lesson isn't really about scales. You can apply this method of fingering to pretty much, you know, any kind of scale to a degree. You might have to jump outside that box a little bit. For example, let me think. So if we go back to the minor, if I play, and I'm not going to go through this in great detail, but just to show you how sometimes you have to jump out of that 1 finger per fret thing. If I was to play G, like a Dorian thing, okay. Just that note there I had to kind of pop out. Okay, so if that happens, just the way I mentally think of that is popping out of the little 1 finger per fret box and then coming back in. Okay, so let's look at when you're moving across the finger, when you're getting higher up the neck and you want to get you know, sort of from here to here. Let me give you a couple of examples, and then hopefully you can apply that to other things you play. All right. So we looked at the major scale earlier on, over 2 octaves, and that's probably a good place to start. Okay, so here's what I'm going to call a kind of diagonal way of getting across the fingerboard from there to there, using the, you know, playing through the 2 octave G major scale. Okay, so let me just give you it in terms of frets. Here we go. So it's 3rd fret on the E string. Then it's 5th fret on the E string, and I move up with my first finger there. Okay, so play those first 2 notes with my first finger. Okay, and then with my 3rd finger, again, I'm kind of adopting this for a minute in this section, a 1 finger per fret thing. I'm going to play the 7th fret on the E string, and then the 8th. Okay, so we've got all the way up to there and only made 1 little movement, 1 little, you know, jump in position. So let's play that again. Here we go. So that's first finger on the 3rd fret on the E string. Move that first finger up to the 5th fret, then the 3rd finger on the 7th fret, and then the little finger on the 8th fret. Okay, then we're going to the next string, and it's first finger on the 5th fret of the A string. Okay, so let's look at that again. Here we go. Alright, so far so good. So then we take the first finger and do another movement up 2 frets to the 7th fret on the A string, and then we get the middle finger there, the ring finger, 3rd finger, and play the 9th fret on the A string, and then with the little finger we play the 10th fret. Okay, so just that bit from the 5th fret. Okay, you move up with your first finger to the 7th on the A string, with this finger 9th, and with a little finger 10th. Okay, so we've got a whole octave there already. Let's run that again. Here we go. Now when you make those little jumps with the first finger, make sure you don't slide up. You want to try and make it sound nice and clean, so you lift your finger off and try not to get too much of a squeak, and then just fret the next note. Okay, so we're up to here, octave. Let's play it one more time together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we've arrived there with our little finger, and what we're going to do is go up the 2nd octave now, and that's going to work like this. First finger on the 7th fret on the D string, ring finger, 3rd finger that is, on the 9th fret on the D string, and then little finger on the 10th fret on the D string, and then we move the little finger 2 frets up to the 12th fret on the D string. Okay, so get your little finger back in position on the 10th fret on the A string. Okay, and then from that, okay, it's first finger on the 7th on the D string, 3rd finger on the 9th fret, little finger on the 10th fret, and then you move the little finger 2 frets up to the 12th fret. Okay, and then we've just got 3 more notes to finish off, which are first finger on the 9th on the G string, 3rd finger on the 11th, and the little finger on the 12th. So let's have a go at putting that together. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okie doke. So if you kind of like analyse that, what I was kind of trying to do there was keep shifting into positions where we could use quite a few notes using that 1 finger per fret thing. Okay, so just in doing that, we got this 4 notes in that position, then a little move again, just 1, 2 frets, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right? Yeah. Get 6 notes in that position, and then 1 last move, and we get another 4. Okay. And that's how you know I would get across the fingerboard. So just kind of any kind of you can have a bit of fun with any scale or any line that you know over a couple of octaves, or something that starts low and ends high, and just take your time and try and work out a way where you can get across, kind of like I call it, kind of diagonally across the board. Okay. So by far one of the most important things to do with your left hand, your fretting hand, is to kind of look ahead, at what's coming next in the piece. Obviously, at first, this is going to be a practice thing, and that is a great way to develop this. Is to use different scales, the minor scale, natural minor scale, the arpeggios as well are a great thing. Like major and minor arpeggios, and then fancy arpeggios. Just find ways of getting up and down the board with the minimum amount of jumping around. Okay. too much to cover in one lesson because there are just hundreds and hundreds of these, you know. But now you've got the principle. If you can take that and run with it, and you know, really put it into practice, and practice hard, you know, like use a metronome and start slowly, and then gradually speed up. So you're playing these things really fast and smoothly and effortlessly, and then maybe pick one arpeggio a week, for example, to work on, or one scale a week, and just use it as a warm-up thing. And you'll be amazed how you start getting up and down the fingerboard. But the thing is, practice hard, enjoy it. But when you're on the gig or when you're on you know, a session, you know, don't get too hung up with it. Just play, just get on with it, and you'll probably find that this stuff will just work for you because you've been practicing on it in your practice time. So I hope that helps, Colin. You know, in the meantime, if you've got any questions, anybody, email me on scott@scott-whitley.com, or you can check out the website at www.scott-whitley.com. You can leave a comment or a message on there, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Cheers.